If someone had told me power could wear a tailored coat and smell like winter, I'd have kept my mouth shut. I knew something was wrong the second I heard the knock. Not the gentle kind. Not the impatient neighbor kind. No, this was a slow, deliberate, echoing knock that spread through the floorboards up my spine into the back of my throat. It was cold outside, colder than usual for October, and the wind had already killed the last of the sun. We weren't expecting anyone. Not at that hour, not ever, really. I was halfway through drying my hair in the hallway mirror when my sister called out from the kitchen. "Can you get that?" I shouldn't have. I should have frozen. Should have stayed perfectly still like some dumb animal sensing a predator. But I didn't. I opened the door and everything, absolutely everything changed. She stood there in a long black coat. Collar turned up. Dark hair slipped back like it had been sculpted into place. Her eyes were obsidian. Still unreadable and yet somehow burning. She didn't smile. She didn't flinch. She just looked at me, head tilted slightly to the side, as if she wasn't expecting me, as if she was recalculating everything. "This isn't for you," she said finally, her voice smooth, low, devastating. "Where's Noelia?" I blinked. "My sister's inside." She nodded once, then "Get her." I didn't move. Something about her made my lungs forget their job. I tried to step back, but she took one slow, confident step into the doorway, not waiting for permission. That's when I noticed them. Two men in suits flanking either side of the porch like statues, armed, silent, watching me like I was an ant. She didn't acknowledge them. Didn't need to. She had the kind of presence that made it clear she was the one in charge. "Noelia," I called out without turning. My voice cracked. "Someone's here for you." My sister came around the corner in sweatpants, a smudge of sauce on her shirt, holding a wooden spoon like it was a wand. She stopped dead when she saw the woman. All the color bled from her face. "No," she breathed. "You said I had until Friday." "It is Friday," the woman replied. "It's Thursday." It just became midnight. Noelia's hand went slack. The spoon clattered to the floor. The air snapped tight, charged, volatile, moments from breaking. "I have the money," Noelia rushed out. "Not all of it, most. I just need 2 more days." An eyebrow lifted. "You've had 2 months. Please," my sister whispered. "You know I wouldn't lie. I've been trying. Trying doesn't pay." Her gaze cut to me again, and I swear the ground shifted. "Who's this?" "My sister," Noelia said immediately. "She's not involved." A pause. The woman studied me, slow, measuring, not lewd, but somehow more dangerous for its restraint. "She is now." "No," Noelia protested, panic rising. "She has nothing to do with this. Take what I have. I'll get you the rest." "You don't make the rules, Noelia." The woman never raised her voice, yet it rumbled like thunder. "You chose this debt. You chose delay. Now I choose how you pay." My stomach knotted. "I don't understand." Those cool eyes lingered on me, sliding down and back with clinical assessment. "What's your name?" I hesitated. "Sophia." "Well, Sophia," she said, focusing fully on me, "how attached are you to this house?" "What?" "Because if I'm not paid, I'll take it brick by brick." She stepped closer, close enough that her perfume wrapped around me, leather, smoke, a whisper of something floral, cruel and elegant. "There's another option." "No," Noelia snapped. "Don't you dare." "I'll clear your debt, Noelia," the woman said, eyes never leaving mine, "if Sophia comes with me tonight." "What the hell?" My heart was pounding. "Comes with you, where?" "To my estate. Just for the weekend." "And if I say no?" "Then I take everything." Her tone didn't flicker. "And not only from your sister." Noelia grabbed my arm. "Don't. I'll find another way." "You can't," the woman said, already turning toward the door. 10 minutes, Sophia. Bring a coat." And just like that, she vanished into the dark. Her men followed, silent, precise. Noelia broke, sobbing. "I'm so sorry. I never meant for this to touch you." "Who is she?" I asked. Noelia wiped at her face with shaking hands. "Her name is Alessia de Rossi." The name didn't mean anything to me. "And she's not just part of the mafia, Sophie. She runs it." 10 minutes. That's all she gave me. 10 minutes. To decide if I was about to throw myself into a stranger's world or let her destroy mine. Noelia kept whispering, "Don't go. Don't go. Don't go. Like if she said enough times, something would shift and we'd both wake up from whatever twisted dream this was. But I wasn't sleeping. And neither was she. You don't understand what kind of person she is, Noelia said, gripping my arm. She doesn't do empty threats, Sophie. If she said she'll burn everything down, she means it. And if I go with her, I asked, my voice hollow. Then she owns you for the weekend, maybe longer. She plays games and no one plays them better. I looked down at my hands. They weren't shaking. That scared me. What did you do to owe someone like her money? Noelia looked away, guilt crawling across her face like a shadow. I was desperate. Alone, I thought I could repay in a few weeks for Mom's medical bills. I never thought it would get this far. You should have told me. I didn't want you involved. I gave her a bitter smile. Too late. I grabbed my coat, my phone. I left the necklace I always wore Mom's on the table. I wasn't sure if that meant something. I just couldn't take it with me. Noelia tried to stop me at the door again, tears in her eyes. Don't do this for me. I'm not, I said. I'm doing this because you're all I have left. The car was waiting. Sleek, black, silent. One of the suited men opened the door without a word. I slid in. Alessia was already inside. Her coat was off, revealing a tailored black suit that fit her like sin, impeccable, cold, undeniably powerful. Her legs were crossed, hands gloved in leather, one brow arched as if I was late. Buckle up, she said. I did. The door closed, and Valenza started to blur behind us. For a few minutes, no one said anything. Just the hum of the engine, the wet hiss of tires on rain-soaked streets, the occasional red flash of tail lights cutting across Alessia's sharp cheekbones. You didn't ask where we're going, she said finally. Would it matter? No, she replied, amused. But I like to know how much control someone's willing to give me without question. I'm not giving you control, aren't you? She looked at me slow and deliberate. You climbed into my car. You left everything behind to protect my sister. That's what they all say. They the ones who come willingly. I turned to her fully now. What exactly do you want from me? The truth? Try it. Alessia leaned in, eyes unreadable. I want your silence, your obedience, your time. I want to see what kind of girl trades her freedom for someone else's debt. And then you let us go. If I'm satisfied. And if you're not, she smiled slow and devastating. Then you'll wish I had just taken the house. I swallowed hard, but I didn't look away. She seemed to like that. How old are you, Sophia? 24, and what do you do? I work at a bookstore. I take photos sometimes. So, nothing worth noting. Depends on who's taking notes. A flicker of something, maybe interest, passed through her eyes. Do you always talk back to mafia bosses? Only when they make assumptions. That made her laugh, a real one, dark and sudden. You might last longer than I thought. The car turned and suddenly we were outside Valenza. Wide, empty road stretched in front of us, moonlight bouncing off the windows. Where are we? I asked. My estate. Outside the reach of police or witnesses or mercy. I looked at her trying to figure out if she was serious. She didn't blink. You think scaring me gives you power? I asked. No, Sophia. I think you walked into this car already afraid. I'm just confirming you were right to be. We drove in silence after that. My hands curled in my lap, my pulse thewing louder than the engine. Eventually, the trees broke and we pulled into a long, winding driveway guarded by iron gates. The house at the end wasn't a house. It was a fortress. Black glass, steel, sharp angles, lights glowing warm behind cold windows. The driver stopped. Alessia opened her own door and stepped out, not waiting for anyone. I followed, legs stiff, throat dry. She didn't look back at me once. The door opened before we even reached it. A woman stood in the entryway. Older, elegant, unreadable. Miss De Rossi, she said. Room is ready. Alessia nodded. This way, Sophia. Where am I sleeping? I asked. In my wing. We made a deal. She interrupted. You belong to me this weekend. I don't share what's mine. I wanted to say something, anything. But her back was already to me. Her presence moving through the hallway like a storm. I followed up the stairs, past closed doors, into a space that didn't look lived in, but commanded every inch of attention. When she finally stopped, she opened a black door and stepped aside. I walked past her. Inside was a room made of shadows and firelight, a massive bed, walls lined with dark books, velvet, leather, and a single chair in front of the fireplace. Alessia closed the door behind us. Then she locked it. "Why are you doing this?" I asked. She turned, walking toward me slowly. "Because your sister offered money, and I found something more interesting instead." "And what do you expect me to do here?" "Survive," she said, stopping just inches away. "And not fall in love with me. That would be inconvenient." I laughed once. Sharp. "Don't flatter yourself." "I'm not," she said, eyes flicking down my face. "I'm warning you." And then she turned, sat in the chair, and poured herself a drink like I hadn't just signed my soul over in silence. I stood there, coat still on, heart hammering, wondering how the hell I ended up in a mafia boss's private wing with nothing but a promise to survive in a fire that was already starting to burn. I didn't sleep that first night. How could I? The room was quiet, but not in a comforting way. It was the kind of silence that pressed in from all sides, like a presence in the walls, like the house itself was listening. Alessia had said nothing else after her warning. She poured herself a drink, sat by the fire, and didn't look at me again. I stood there until my knees gave out, and I sank onto the edge of the bed, still wearing my coat, heart thudding in my ears. I didn't dare ask for pajamas. I didn't dare ask anything. At some point, I curled up on top of the covers and closed my eyes, pretending that if I stayed still long enough, I'd disappear. But I didn't. Morning came, pale and cold, leaking through the tall windows like a reluctant apology. When I opened my eyes, Alessia was gone. A tray sat near the fireplace. Coffee, fruit, something delicate and French-looking that I didn't touch. I wasn't hungry. I was wired, stretched thin, angry. I peeled off my coat, washed my face in the private bathroom that felt more like a spa, and found a pair of black clothes folded neatly on a chair. Not mine. Alessia's doing probably. The clothes fit. Creepy. I stepped into the hallway with my chin lifted, ready to find her, ask questions, demand answers. But the house was a maze. Corridors curved in strange ways, lined with expensive art and cameras I pretended not to notice. Eventually, I heard voices, soft-clipped. I followed them and stopped just before the open door of what looked like a sunroom, bright with glass and framed in white marble. Alessia stood there, back to me, speaking Italian into a phone. Her voice was calm, controlled, but lethal. I didn't understand the words, but I understood the tone. Someone somewhere was in trouble and Alessia was deciding their fate between sips of espresso. I should have turned around, but I didn't. She hung up, sensing me. "Sleep well?" she asked, still facing the glass. "You locked me in. You're here as collateral, not a guest. So, is this a prison or a favor?" She turned then. Her hair was down now, framing her face in soft waves that didn't match the way her eyes dissected me. "Depends on how useful you make yourself." "Useful? You're not just here to warm a bed. Sophia. I don't waste time on beauty alone." "Wow. Romantic." She stepped toward me slowly, her movements precise, practiced. "You think this is about seduction? That I brought you here to seduce you? Isn't that what this is?" "No," she said, voice like a blade. "It's about control. Yours, mine. Let's see who loses it first." I stared at her. "What do you want from me?" "Everything you're not willing to give." I didn't breathe. She stepped closer, her presence swallowing the space between us. "But here's the thing," she continued. "You're not afraid of me." "Not really. You want to be. It would make this easier, but something in you keeps looking for the cracks. Maybe I just don't like being pushed. Or maybe you've never had someone look at you and see what you're hiding." I swallowed hard. "You don't know anything about me. I know you didn't flinch when I locked the door. I know you watched me like you wanted to understand what kind of monster I am. I know your sister's a mess, but you'd burn for her anyway. And I know you haven't stopped thinking about last night." My cheeks flamed. "Don't flatter yourself." "I told you," she said, brushing past me, her voice near my ear. "This isn't flattery. It's a warning." I turned, watching her walk down the hall like she hadn't just ripped the air from my lungs. "Where are you going?" I asked. "You're not here to ask questions," she said without stopping. "Then why am I here?" She paused. "Just long enough to twist the knife, because I want you to be." That afternoon, I was given a tour of the grounds by a silent man with a scar down the side of his face. He didn't speak, didn't smile, just pointed. Garden, library, pool, the guest wing. Not that I was staying there. Every room was elegant and cold, designed, but not lived in. Everything about the estate screamed wealth and isolation. I wasn't shown Alessia's office. I wasn't shown the basement. You don't go where you're not invited, the man finally said, voice rough. That includes her past. What's in her past? I asked. He looked at me. Don't ask things you're not ready to carry. Dinner was quiet. Just the two of us. A massive table, candlelight, silverware that probably cost more than my rent. Alessia didn't speak much. Just watched me, studied me. Why photography? She asked eventually because it lets me catch what people try to hide. She smiled faintly. We have that in common then. Is that what you do? Catch liars? No, she said sipping wine. I create them. And then I decide which ones get to keep breathing. My appetite vanished. You're not trying to scare me? I asked. No. If I wanted you afraid, you wouldn't be sitting. Then what do you want? I want to know how long it'll take before you stop pretending you don't like the way I look at you. I froze. She tilted her head, lips curving slightly. There it is. You're playing a game always. And what's the goal? You'll find out when you lose. She stood, walked around the table. I didn't move. She leaned down, her hand brushing my chin, lifting it so I had to look at her. You're not ready to admit it, she whispered. But part of you likes being mine. I'm not yours. No, she asked. Then why are you still here? And before I could answer, she left again, leaving me alone with too many questions and a fire in my chest I didn't want to name. I didn't want to go to sleep. Not because I was afraid Alessia would do something. But because I was afraid of what I would feel if she didn't. She had a way of getting inside my head. Planting words that bloomed like thorns hours after she left the room. And I hated how much space she was taking up in my mind. The second night was worse than the first. She didn't lock the door this time, which somehow felt more dangerous. She trusted me not to run. Or maybe she knew I had nowhere to go. I lay awake on the same side of the bed, staring at the ceiling, listening for footsteps that never came. She didn't come to the room. She didn't say goodnight. She didn't have to. Her silence wrapped around me tighter than her presence ever had. Morning came slow and gray. A maid brought clothes again. Still black, still perfectly my size, still not mine. Breakfast was served in a smaller dining room. I ate alone. No one spoke to me. The house was full of people who seemed trained not to look me in the eye. I found a book in the library, sat by the window, and tried to lose myself in fiction. But every page felt like sand. Every sound made me flinch. I wasn't scared of Alessia. Not exactly. I was scared of what she saw when she looked at me. Like, she knew things I hadn't admitted even to myself. Like, she was stripping me down without ever touching me. By midday, I'd had enough. I went looking for her. No one stopped me. Maybe they were told not to. I found her in a room lined with weapons. Literal weapons. Guns, blades, antiques that looked ceremonial. She was cleaning a knife, long and curved, her focus sharp, hand steady. She didn't look up when I entered. You're bored, she said. I'm not here to be entertained. But you are here. What does that mean? It means you haven't asked to leave. I stepped closer. Is that an option? Everything's an option. That's what makes this interesting. I folded my arms. You said I was here as collateral, but you haven't even mentioned Noelia because you're doing better than expected at what? Not flinching. I wanted to throw something. You think this is a game that I'm some kind of pet you can train? No, she said, finally setting the knife down. A petabaz without thought. You fight, you bite, you look me in the eye. That's what I like. Why? I asked. Because you can't control me. Because I haven't decided if I want to. Istertahia. She didn't blink, didn't move, just watched me with that unnerving calm. You want control over everyone? I asked. No, I want honesty, and that only comes when people think you can destroy them. Is that what this is? You're trying to destroy me, so I'll tell you the truth. No, Sophia. She stepped forward, her voice softening. I want to see who you are when no one's left to protect you. Not your sister, not your morals, not your pride. I swallowed. She was too close again. And I hated that. I didn't want to step away. You don't scare me, I whispered. You should then. Why haven't you touched me? Her breath hitched just a fraction. But I saw it, felt it. I'm not here to force you, she said, voice lower now. I'm here to make you want things you swore you wouldn't. My heart pounded. And what if I don't? Then you'll be the first. Her eyes dropped to my mouth. I don't put faith in firsts. I turned away before I did something I'd regret, before I asked her to cash in every unspoken threat. I left without a word, and she let me go. That night I sat on the balcony outside her wing, eyes on constellations I couldn't name. My chest ached. I missed home. I missed Noelia. I missed the version of myself that existed before Alessia looked at me and rewrote every rule I thought I knew. Footsteps drew near. I didn't look. I knew it was her. She stayed quiet for a long while, standing behind me, still and patient. "I'm not who you think I am," I said at last. "Then show me. Why do you want me here?" "Because you don't belong here, and that makes you dangerous." "That doesn't make sense." "It does to me." She stepped closer. Her fingertips grazed my wrist, barely there, yet it sparked under my skin. "You hate that I'm starting to matter to you," she whispered. "Don't you? You don't matter to me." "Liar." I faced her. Too close again. Her gaze held mine, steady, searching. Her lips parted like she might say more, but she turned and left instead. No warning, no explanation. And for the first time since I'd arrived, I felt it. Not fear. Not confusion. Longing. And that frightened me more than anything. By morning, the house had shifted. Not quieter, heavier, as if something beneath the surface had moved into place. Subtle, but certain. Alessia wasn't at breakfast. The chair at the end of the long table sat empty, untouched. No one offered a reason. No one ever did. I wandered for hours. I'd stopped asking where I was allowed to go. If they didn't want me somewhere, they could stop me. They didn't. I drifted into the east wing, the only corner of the estate that felt lived in. Books sprawled across low tables. A scarf slung over a velvet chair. A mug left half full, coffee gone cold. Personal things. Human things. Alessia's things. I stood there breathing them in, searching for her in the details she never let anyone see. Then I heard it. Raised voices. A man, furious. A woman, colder. "Alessia." I followed the sound before I could think, each step drawing me nearer to something I wasn't meant to hear. The door was ajar. She stood inside, arms folded, gaze sharp and unblinking. The man across from her paced, face flushed, words dripping venom. "You're losing control," he snapped. "Bringing some random girl into the house? You think the other families won't notice?" "Let them," Alessia said. "They already know I don't play by their rules." "This isn't about rules. It's about weakness. You're distracted. I'm in complete control." "Then prove it. Get rid of her." My stomach dropped. Alessia's eyes slid toward the doorway. I went still. She knew I was there. She'd known all along. "If I wanted her gone," she said, slow and even, "she'd be gone." "You're making a mistake. That's mine to make." The man cursed under his breath and stormed out, nearly slamming into me in the hallway. He sneered but said nothing. When he was gone, I pushed the door open. "You knew I was listening. You're not exactly subtle." "Who was that?" "Someone who forgets their place." "Why didn't you deny it?" "Deny what?" "That I matter to you?" She looked at me then. Really looked, and something behind her eyes cracked. Barely, but enough to make me forget how to breathe. "You're not supposed to," she said. "But you do." I stepped into the room. "Then why are you keeping me at a distance?" "Because I know what happens when I let people in." "And what's that?" "They don't survive it." I stood in front of her, heart racing. "Then let me decide if I can survive you." Her jaw tensed. She stepped closer. "You think I'm cold, don't you?" "You are. And yet here you are because you make it impossible to look away." Her breath caught, and for the first time since I met her, she looked uncertain, not weak, not fragile, just human. "I don't want to hurt you, Sophia." "Then stop trying to." She reached out slowly like she didn't quite trust herself. Her fingers brushed mine lightly at first, testing, tasting. Then she laced them together. "If I cross this line," she said, "there's no going back." "Maybe I don't want to go back." Her hand moved to my jaw. Her thumb stroked my cheek like it had a right to be there. I leaned into her touch before I could stop myself. "Say it," she whispered. "Say you want this." "I want this." That's when she kissed me. It wasn't soft. It wasn't slow. It was everything she'd been holding back. Months of restraint exploding in a single touch. Her hands gripped my waist, pulling me against her, and I didn't resist. I didn't think. I let her consume me, and I kissed her back like I'd been waiting for this from the second she walked through my door. She lifted me effortlessly, carried me to the velvet chair without breaking the kiss, and sat down with me in her lap. Her lips moved down my neck, her hands under my shirt, her breath warm and shaky against my skin. "Tell me to stop," she said. "If I go further, don't stop. Sophia, please." She froze. That word did something to her. Something deep. Her hands paused, her mouth still against my collarbone. "No one's ever asked me like that," she said. "Like what?" "Like I'm not a monster." I pulled back just enough to look her in the eye. "Maybe you're not. You don't know me. Then let me." And just like that, she kissed me again, desperate now. Hungry. But beneath the heat, there was something else. A trembling. A truth she wasn't ready to say. And I knew this wasn't just power. This wasn't just lust. This was her unraveling. For me, the morning after tasted like fire and ash. I woke up tangled in Alessia's sheets. The scent of her skin still clinging to mine. Her side of the bed empty but warm. My body remembered everything. Her hands, her mouth, the way she said my name like a sin she planned to keep committing. But my mind was a storm. I wrapped the blanket around me and sat up slowly. The room still heavy with last night's heat. Something had changed. Not just between us and the house. In the silence, I dressed in the same black clothes. No one had brought new ones. Maybe they were waiting to see if I was still hers. Maybe now I belonged here. Maybe that terrified me more than anything. When I stepped into the hallway, I heard it yelling. A door slammed, then footsteps, fast, angry. Alessia's voice, sharp and dangerous. "You went behind my back." A man's voice, trembling but defiant. "We were trying to protect the family. She's compromising you." "Say her name again." Alessia growled. "And I'll make sure it's the last word you ever speak. This isn't you. You don't know me." "I did once." A beat of silence. "Not anymore." I froze. Something in that voice sounded different. Familiar. Curious. I followed the sound down a hallway I hadn't explored yet, only to find Alessia standing inches from a man I'd never seen before. Blonde, clean-cut, dressed like he didn't belong in this world, but was trying to. Her body was tight with rage, but her eyes looked hurt, like his words had scraped something raw. "He saw me before she did." "That's her, isn't it?" he said, chin lifting. "The reason you've gone soft." Alessia turned sharply, eyes colliding with mine. Cold caught. "Sophia," she said carefully. "Go back to my room." "Who is he?" I asked. "Now's not the time. You said no lies between us." The man looked between us and laughed bitterly. "God, you've really fallen. Does she even know what you did in Palermo? What happened to the last girl who slept in your bed?" My blood turned to ice. "Don't," Alessia warned. "Don't say another word." But he did. "You buried her like she was nothing. Just another lesson. Just another pawn in your game." I couldn't breathe. Alessia's fists clenched at her sides. "Get out. She deserves to know. Get out." Her scream shattered the air. The man flinched but left. Alessia turned away from me, bracing herself against the wall, shoulders trembling. I stepped closer. "Alessia, don't." "Who was she?" "Someone who didn't listen. You hurt her. She betrayed me. And what happens to me if I disappoint you?" She turned then, eyes wild with something I couldn't name. "Don't ask questions you're not ready to hear the answers to." Too late. We stared at each other, breathing uneven. She looked like she wanted to run or destroy something or kiss me again just to shut me up. I stepped forward. "Tell me the truth. You are not her. Then prove it." Her lips parted. Her voice broke. "I don't want to lose you. Then stop treating me like I'm disposable." "You think I am?" "I think you don't know what to do. When someone sees you and stays anyway." Her face twisted like I'd hit something too deep. "They always leave. So fire or die. That's what this life is. Then change it." "I can't." "You mean you won't?" A bitter smile tugged at her lips. "You're braver than I thought." "I'm not brave. I'm just not afraid of you anymore." She stepped closer. "You should be, but I'm not. And that scares you, doesn't it?" Her silence was the only answer I needed. We didn't touch. Not this time. The air between us was full of every kiss we didn't have. Every secret she still wouldn't say. She looked away. "Go back to the room." "Are you coming?" "No." "Why not?" "Because if I follow you in there tonight, I won't be able to let you go." and then she was gone again. I didn't sleep. I couldn't. The night dragged like a blade across my skin. The truth clawed at me. Alessia had a past soaked in blood, and I was willingly standing in it, letting her touch me like she didn't already have ghosts clinging to her hands. But when dawn came, I didn't feel regret. I felt resolve. She needed to be seen. And I wasn't ready to walk away. Not yet. Not like this. I found her outside at sunrise standing alone by the edge of the property overlooking the woods. She didn't turn when I approached. "You always get up this early?" I asked. "I don't sleep much." "Memories?" "Guilt." "You don't seem guilty." "I don't wear it where people can see." I stepped beside her. "Then show me why." "Because I'm still here." She finally looked at me, and this time there was no mask. Just her. All of her wounded, brilliant, terrified. "I never meant to fall for you," she said quietly. "But I did." "Then stop running from it." She reached for my hand. I let her take it. No fear, just fire. The kiss didn't come that morning, not even a touch. Alessia held my hand for exactly 7 seconds, then let it go like it had burned her. She didn't speak again, just turned and walked back toward the house, leaving me alone in the gray light of dawn with 100 thoughts clawing at my chest. I didn't follow right away. I stood there for a long time, staring into the trees like they might offer answers the woman inside never would. When I finally made it back to her wing, the door was locked. Not in a controlling way this time. In a quiet, decisive one. I knocked. No answer. I waited. Still nothing. I knew what this was. Retreat. Fear. Alessia had let the truth slip from her lips, raw and trembling. And now she was trying to bury it before it grew into something real. I didn't see her that entire day. Meals were left for me. Guards nodded without speaking. The house was quieter, colder, like it was holding its breath. And maybe I was too. That night, I didn't sleep. I sat in her room, the fire burning low, wondering how someone so powerful could be so afraid of something as fragile as feeling. I knew I was pushing at the edge of something dangerous. Not just her past, her heart, her control. But I wasn't ready to stop. The next morning, I found her in the training room alone. She was hitting a punching bag with sharp, precise strikes, her knuckles wrapped, her tank top soaked with sweat. Her hair was tied back, jaw clenched, eyes full of something feral. I watched in silence, the air between us humming. She noticed me. Of course she did. She always did. But she didn't stop. I stepped closer, trying to punch the feelings away, trying to stay sharp. "You look exhausted." "I am." "Then stop running." She threw one last punch that made the chain rattle, then turned to face me. "You think this is about running, isn't it?" "No, Sophia." Her voice was quiet, but razor sharp. "This is about surviving." "From what?" "From what I become when I care too much." I stepped closer. "You said you fell for me." "I shouldn't have, but you did. And now you're in danger." My pulse quickened. "Why?" "Because I don't have soft endings. I don't get happy ever afters. I get blood. I get betrayal. I get loss. Then fight for something different. You don't change what you are. You don't know that." She looked at me, then really looked. Her shoulders dropped like she'd been holding her breath for days. "You still don't get it, do you?" "Then explain." "There's a hit on you." The sentence punched the breath from my lungs. "What?" "Someone in my inner circle thinks you threaten my control. They think I'm compromised. They've put out a silent contract without my approval." "You mean someone's been ordered to kill you?" My skin went cold. "Why didn't you tell me?" "Because I'm handling it." "Handling it." I could barely get the words out. "You should have sent me away." "You think I didn't try?" She snapped. "You think every day I haven't wanted to shove you in a car and get you as far from me as possible? Then do it." "I can't." "Why?" Her voice fractured. "Because I love you." Silence, dense, shocking, absolute. I stared at her, my pulse roaring in my ears. "Say it again." She stepped closer, hands trembling for the first time since I'd met her. "I love you." "You said no one survives loving you." "They don't." "Then we'll rewrite the ending." "Sophia, no more running." She cupped my face in both hands like she was trying to memorize me. "If anything happens to you, it won't, because you'll protect me." She kissed me then, fierce and desperate, as if choosing me and condemning the consequences in the same breath. Her fingers gripped my back. Mine tangled in her hair. This wasn't a kiss about lust. It was about war. The kind you fight to keep someone alive. That night, Alessia never left my side. We lay in her bed, her arm banded at my waist, her breath soft at my neck. I wanted to believe that was enough, that love could undo violence. But as sleep pulled at me, I felt it, the tension locked in her frame, the way her hand never drifted far from the gun on the nightstand. Alessia was ready to kill for me, and someone out there was willing to kill to take me from her. Love had never been a battlefield for me, until now. By morning, the gun wasn't on the nightstand anymore. It was on her, visible, loaded, settled at her side like it had always belonged there. Alessia dressed without a word, a silence that didn't ask permission, only compliance. She moved like a woman expecting a bullet behind every door. Me? I watched her from the bed, the sheets tangled around my waist, trying to ignore the weight in my chest that hadn't eased since she said, "I love you," with a voice full of warning. It didn't feel real, but it was. And love, I was learning, came with blood on its hands in her world. "I have to meet someone," she said finally, strapping her watch on with slow precision. "Alone?" "No," she turned to me sharply. "Sophia, you said you were handling it, but you can't handle it without backup. And you know it. This isn't a request. Neither is this. You told me the truth. I'm staying in it." Her jaw clenched, her eyes. God, those eyes burned into mine. "You're not trained for this." "I don't care." "I do." "Then let me stand beside you. And if a bullet flies, then at least I die knowing I wasn't hiding." Her breath hitched. That was the only crack she let show. But it was enough. We didn't take the main car. Alessia chose a smaller discreet vehicle, black, clean, anonymous. She drove. I sat beside her in silence. The only sound between us the low growl of the engine and the quiet rage in her pulse. We met the contact in an old cathedral-turned-private club. Hidden, opulent, full of secrets. The man waiting inside was older. Italian. Gold rings on every finger. A rosary tattoo on the side of his neck. He smiled when he saw Alessia wide and wolfish. "L'origina entra," he said. "The queen enters." Alessia didn't flinch. "You called this meeting. Talk." He gestured for us to sit. She didn't. Neither did I. "There's unrest," he began, his voice slick with something that made my skin crawl. "Some believe your attachment is clouding your decisions. Some need to remember who taught them fear. We respect you," he said. "But power is only as strong as perception. You walk with a girl on your arm and people start asking, who does she command? Or is she now the one being commanded? Do I look like I've lost control?" She asked. "No," he said slowly. "But love makes corpses of empires, Alessia. You know this." Her voice dropped. "Are you threatening me?" "Never." He leaned forward. "But I'm warning you, there are whispers. Not just contracts, plans." Alessia stepped forward close enough to cast a shadow over his smile. "If anyone touches her, breathes her name with violence, I will not retaliate. I will erase them, their families, their legacies, and I will sleep like a child." The smile vanished. "Understood." Alessia turned and walked out. I followed, my legs shaking, my heart rattling against my ribs. We didn't speak until we were back in the car. "That wasn't handling it," I said. "That was declaring war. It was reminding them I still wear the crown. And if they try to take it," she looked at me, not blinking, "then they'll learn what I become when I have nothing left to lose." That night, security tripled. I noticed new men, new eyes, new energy in the air, thick, tense, like a storm had already started. And no one knew when it would break. Alessia didn't sleep. She paced, watched the cameras, gave orders in Italian I couldn't follow. She was a queen in her tower, guarded, dangerous, tired. I stood in the doorway of her room and watched her unravel in silence. "They won't stop." I said. "They'll keep testing you. Then I'll keep answering." "What about me?" "You're not a piece on their board." "Yes, I am. I became one the second I opened that door and saw you standing there." Her voice dropped. "You should hate me for that." "I don't." She stepped toward me, her hands cold as they cupped my face. "Why not?" "Because I fell for you, Alessia de Rossi. Not the power, not the reputation. That was your first mistake, and loving me was yours." She didn't answer. She kissed me instead. Not soft, not sweet. It was a kiss born of exhaustion, fury, fear, and love. A kiss that asked, "If I die tomorrow, will this be enough?" I answered with my body, with my hands, with every breath I gave her like it was the last. We fell into bed like people already running from fate. There was no gentleness left, just fire. After we lay in silence, the kind that only came when everything had been said without words. Her arm was around me. Her gun was on the pillow and her heart for once was unguarded. I traced the scar on her rib cage. How did you get this? Someone tried to end me once. Why didn't they succeed? Because I hadn't met you yet. My throat tightened. Alessia, don't say anything, she whispered. Just stay. I will. No matter what happens. No matter what happens. Outside, thunder rolled in the distance. And deep in the house, a sensor tripped. The cameras blinked. The storm had arrived. The first shot came at 3:14 a.m. A sharp, deafening crack that shattered the fragile silence like a scream. Alessia was out of bed before I could even register the sound. Gun already in hand, eyes sharp, body coiled like a blade. Stay here, she ordered. No, Sophie, I'm not hiding. Another shot rang out. Closer. The lights flickered. The security system beeped once, then went dead. Power cut. Alessia swore under her breath, grabbed her second weapon from the drawer, and threw me a knife. You remember what I taught you? Every word. Her eyes flicked over me like she wanted to memorize my face in case it was the last time. Then she kissed me. Quick, fierce, final, stay close. The mansion was already chaos. Footsteps thundered down the marble halls. Shadows flickered. Someone screamed. I stayed at her side, ducking behind cover as she moved with lethal precision. Every shot she fired was deliberate, perfect. She wasn't scared. She was angry. And Alessia angry was something terrifying and beautiful. We turn a corner just in time to see one of her guards fall. Blood on the wall. Two men in black moved toward the main wing. Silencers on their pistols, eyes blink. Alessia didn't hesitate. 2 bullets, 2 bodies down. This wasn't random, she muttered. They knew exactly where to go. An inside job has to be. Then we need to get out. No, we finish this. We reached the security room, destroyed, monitors shattered, screens dark. One last guard was slumped against the wall. Alive but barely. They're going for the east wing, he gasped. Looking for her. Me? They were coming for me. Alessia's expression changed. Something darker, something cold and full of death. Sophia, she said, voice steel. You run now through the servants' exit. It's unguarded. I'm not leaving you. Don't argue with me. We said we'd face this together. And we will, but I have to clear a path. I need to know you're safe while I do it. I'm not abandoning you. You're not. You're surviving, so I have something to fight for. My chest cracked open. She touched my cheek. Please. The word shattered me. Alessia de Rossi didn't beg ever, but for me, she did. I ran through corridors that echoed with gunfire and blood. Through smoke, through screams. I made it to the servant exit, heavy metal half open, and stopped. I couldn't do it. I couldn't leave her in that hell. I turned back and that's when I saw him. The man from the meeting. The one with the rosary tattoo. He stepped out of the shadows with a gun aimed at my chest. She really did fall for you, he said, almost smiling. Pathetic. You don't have to do this. Oh, I do. Orders. Then take it up with your queen. She won't get here in time. Want to bet the shot came from behind him. Clean, precise. The man dropped. Alessia stood in the hallway, smoke curling from the barrel of her gun, her eyes locked on me like I was the only thing left in the world. You disobeyed me, she growled. So shoot me. She stalked forward, grabbed my face, and kissed me like she was dragging me back to life. You're mine, she said. And I don't lose what's mine. We got out barely. The house burned behind us, smoke rising into the sky like a funeral pea. Most of the men who attacked were dead. The rest ran, but everything was gone. The estate, the fortress, the empire she'd built with blood and precision. Gone. We stood in the field behind the wreckage, sirens distant, the cold biting through our clothes. Everything I built, Alessia whispered. You still have me. You're all I have left. I took her hand. Then let's build something new. Her voice cracked. You don't know what that means. I don't care. She turned to me, eyes glassy, jaw tight. They won't stop. Neither will I. You'd stay with me even now. Especially now. She looked down at our hands, then up at me, then let's burn the rest of it down. We didn't run. Not immediately. Alessia wanted to. She had a private jet, cash, new IDs, routes mapped across Europe. Disappearances were second nature to her. But I wasn't ready to disappear. Not when every scar we carried had meaning now. Not when we'd just chosen each other through fire. So we stayed hidden, but not silent. Alessia had safe houses all over the country. But we chose one far from Valenza, an old vineyard tucked behind rolling hills and overgrown trees. Once owned by a family that no longer existed. The ghosts here were quieter than the ones we left behind. She didn't speak for 3 days. Not about the mansion. Not about the men who betrayed her. Not about what we'd almost lost. She stayed close, though, hovering, watching me like I was something she still didn't believe she deserved. And I let her, because even in silence, she was saying everything. I see you. I still have you. I won't lose you again. But the silence couldn't hold forever. On the 4th morning, while I was making coffee in the little stone kitchen, she said it. They're rebuilding. I didn't have to ask who. Which ones? All of them. Every family I kept under my thumb. They think I'm weak now. Because of me. Because I made a choice to protect you instead of the empire. I turned to face her. You don't regret that? No. She stepped closer, her voice low. But they'll come again, and this time it won't be a warning. They want to finish what they started. I swallowed. So what do? We end it. How? We burn everything they built. Alessia. No more hiding. No more running. If they want a war, they'll get one. And after? She hesitated. If we survive, we will. Her eyes softened just slightly. Then I give you everything. The plan wasn't perfect. It wasn't clean, but it was precise. Alessia reached out to her few remaining allies. People still loyal. People who remembered the woman she'd been before. Love made her vulnerable. She made promises. She made threats. And she made a list. One by one, we crossed off the names. We moved like shadows through Valenza, striking when they least expected. Corrupt banks collapsed, ships were seized, accounts frozen, secrets leaked. Alessia was no longer the queen behind the glass walls. She was the flame burning it all to the ground, and I was right there beside her. She taught me how to shoot, how to lie, how to disappear in a crowd. I wasn't just her weakness anymore. I was her weapon. But the deeper we cut, the louder the whispers grew. Alessia's name turned to venom on the streets. Some called her desperate, others called her invincible, but they all feared her again, and that was enough to draw out the last of them. One night, as we returned to the vineyard, a message was waiting, handwritten, sealed with a familiar crest. The family that started this, the one that sanctioned my death. An invitation. One last meeting. Neutral ground. A truce, they said. Alessia stared at the paper for a long time, her jaw locked tight. It's a trap, I said. Of course it is. Then why go? Because if we don't, they'll think we're still running. And if we do, she looked at me, something dark and ancient moving behind her eyes. Then we end it one way or another. I'm going with you, Sophia. No, I'm not your secret. I'm not your weakness. I'm the reason you survived. She reached for me, held me, and I felt it again, that quiet tremble in her ribs. The fear she would never admit aloud. You're more than that, she whispered. You're my beginning. The meeting was set in an abandoned hotel at the edge of Valenza. No security, no weapons, just words, lies, and the weight of everything we were about to risk. I wore black. So did she. We looked like opposites of the girls we'd once been. No longer hunted, but ready to strike. Inside they waited. 3 men, 1 woman, all of them older, all of them deadly. Alessia kept me close, her fingers laced with mine. It wasn't strategy, it was war. This is pointless, one of them said as we entered. You've already lost everything except her, Alessia said. And that's enough. You'll die for her gladly. Then you're not the Alessia we feared. No, she said. I'm worse. And with that, it began, not with bullets. Not yet, but with truths. Alessia laid out the files. The recordings, the betrayals. She told them everything they never expected her to know. Their deals, their secrets, their blood, and she offered them a choice. Leave now or burn with everything else. There was silence, then laughter, then the sound of someone drawing a weapon. But Alessia moved faster, and this time I moved with her. The sound of the first bullet was a whisper, a breath. A decision made in the space between a blink and a heartbeat. It wasn't theirs. It was mine. I didn't hesitate. I didn't freeze. I stepped forward, raised the gun Alessia had tucked in the waistband of my jacket, and shot the man reaching for his weapon in the leg before he could pull the trigger. He went down hard, cursing in Italian. Blood blooming across the floor. The others froze. Alessia looked at me, stunned, breathless, proud. I felt her hand on my lower back, steadying me as I held the gun without trembling. "She's not what you expected," Alessia said, voice cold as marble. "But she is everything I promised." The woman across from us, silver-haired and razory, slowly stood. "You've made your point." "No," Alessia replied. "I haven't." Her tone dropped. The room darkened around us. "You tried to take her from me. You burned my house, killed my men, lied to my face, and now you want to talk." "You've always been a killer," the older man said. "We just made the mistake of thinking you were too in love to pull the trigger again." "You were right," she said, stepping forward, dragging her finger across the blood on the floor. "I am in love." She turned her head, looked directly at me, "and that's why I'm more dangerous than ever." I didn't breathe. The room didn't move. Alessia stood taller, eyes glowing with something untouchable. "Here's what's going to happen," she continued. "You're going to call off every last order, every bounty, every whisper. You're going to erase our names from your books," or her smile was soft, terrifying. "You'll vanish one by one, quietly, painlessly. No headlines, no graves." "You're bluffing," one of them hissed. "Try me," she said. "And tomorrow your daughters won't wake up." "You're outnumbered." "Am I?" That's when I saw them, Alessia's men, hidden and silent, dozens of them stationed along the upper floors of the hotel. Rifles leveled, eyes fixed. Her loyalists. The ones who hadn't left her. The ones who rose when she fell. "You didn't think I'd step into your trap without laying one of my own, did you?" she asked. "I built this city. You think I don't still know how to pull its strings?" No one moved. No one spoke. I stepped to her side, lowered the gun, and said the only word left: "Choose." The silver-haired woman was the first to drop her gaze. Then the others followed, one after another. Alessia had won. No bullets required. Not this time. Just fear. And love. And the truth of who she was when she stopped holding back. When we walked out of that building, the night felt changed, no longer haunted, no longer hunted. Alessia's hand was warm in mine. And for the first time since the night she knocked on my door, we weren't running. We were walking toward something real, something earned. "You didn't have to shoot him," she said later in the car, a smile tugging at her mouth. "He was going to kill you. You didn't even blink. I was watching you. You were beautiful. Covered in blood." "Alive," I said, reaching for her hand. "That's what matters." She squeezed gently. "You saved me tonight." "No," I whispered. "You saved me months ago." She looked at me, her walls toppling like dominoes. "What now?" I asked. "We go home," she said. "We don't have a home. Then we make one, somewhere no one knows our names. Somewhere we're just us. Sophia and Alessia. No more guns," she murmured. "No more empires. Just a camera and a garden. And the woman I'd burn the world for." My throat tightened. I leaned over and kissed her slow this time. Deep, grateful, alive. Outside, Valenza lights faded into the distance. And in the silence that followed, I felt it. Peace. For the first time, but we weren't safe yet. Not completely. That would come later. For now, we had each other. And that was enough to keep fighting for. The sea was the only thing we could hear that morning. Gentle, infinite, ancient waves crashing against a cliff just beyond the stone cottage we now called home. There were no guards outside, no weapons hidden under floorboards, no shadows watching from rooftops, just sunlight pouring through lace curtains, and Alessia sleeping beside me with her face softened by the quiet. It had been 3 weeks since we left Valenza. 3 weeks since she walked away from the blood, from the empire, from everything she'd built on bone and fire. She didn't talk about it, not out loud. But at night, I heard her breathing change. I saw her eyes open in the dark. I felt her reach for the gun she no longer kept beside the bed, and I held her until her pulse slowed again. She never said thank you. Alessia de Rossi didn't thank people, but when she touched me now, it was different. Like she was building something with her hands instead of destroying. Like I was something she chose, not something she conquered. We'd rented the house under false names, of course. The neighbors thought we were just two women who liked their privacy. Alessia baked once. It was awful. We both laughed until we cried. I started painting again, not professionally, just for me. I found an old camera in a market stall and began documenting the small human things about our life. Her hands holding an orange, her hair blowing in the wind, her bare back at sunrise. She let me quietly completely. Sometimes she sat beside me while I painted, her head resting on my thigh like she couldn't quite believe peace was real. But I knew it couldn't last forever. We were pretending and the past never stays buried. One afternoon while I was out buying groceries, I caught it. A man watching just once, a glance too long. A body that didn't belong to this sleepy coastal town. When I returned, I told Alessia. She didn't flinch, didn't panic, just nodded. "I'll take care of it," she said. But she didn't explain how. And that night when I woke up, she was gone. Her side of the bed cold. The next day, she came back with blood on her knuckles and a bruise on her jaw. I didn't ask. She didn't lie. We just stood in the kitchen, the kettle whistling, the ocean screaming in the distance. "They found us," I whispered. "Only one," she said. "But that means others could. I'll protect you." "You already have, Alessia." "I don't regret any of it," she said, cutting me off. "Not a second. If I had to go back and knock on that door all over again, knowing how it would end, I'd still choose you." I swallowed. "Even if it means dying. Especially then." I stepped closer, pressed my forehead to hers. "We don't have to keep running." "No," she agreed. "We fight one last time, then we disappear for good. Promise." "I don't break promises to you." That evening, we buried everything. The guns, the burner phones, the names. Alessia packed a bag with documents and drives and secrets no one should ever see. We took the boat out into the sea at midnight. Just us, the stars, and the weight of everything we were letting go. She tossed it all overboard, watched it sink, watched herself vanish with it. "There," she said. "It's done." "It's not," I whispered. "Not yet." She turned to me. Eyes shadowed but calm. "Then tell me what's left us. You still want this? You still don't believe I do?" "I don't understand it." "Good," I said. "That means it's real." She kissed me on the boat with salt on her lips and wind in her hair. And for the first time since the night we met, she kissed me like a woman. Not a queen, not a weapon, not a myth, just Alessia. Mine. That night we made love like nothing outside existed. No history, no mafia, no danger, just skin, breath, time. She was softer, slower, like she was learning my body again in the light. And I gave her everything I had. Every piece of the girl who once opened a door to a stranger and never closed it again. After we lay tangled together, naked and warm under the covers, her fingers tracing my shoulder. "You saved me," she said. "Say it again," I murmured. "You saved me." "No, say the other thing." She paused. "I love you again." "I love you, Sophia." I kissed her shoulder, then let's start over. She nodded. "Tomorrow." But I already knew the world wasn't done with us yet, and tomorrow would come with fire. It started with birds. I woke up to the sound of them scattering outside. All at once, like a warning, like something unseen had shattered the morning before it even began. Alessia wasn't beside me. Her side of the bed was still warm, but empty. I sat up slowly, heart already pounding. The air felt wrong, like the calm before a wave, like the space between lightning and thunder. I walked to the kitchen calling her name. No answer. The front door was open, just slightly. That's when I heard the voice. Not hers. A man's rough, cold, familiar, and a second one. Alessia. Controlled, but tight, wounded. I didn't think. I moved. I grabbed the knife from the drawer, not because I thought it would save me, but because being empty-handed felt like surrender. I stepped outside barefoot, the stone cold beneath me, and froze. There were 3 men, 2 had guns, one held Alessia by the arm, a cut on her cheek, blood trailing from the corner of her mouth, her eyes locked on mine the second I stepped out. She didn't yell, didn't beg, just shook her head once. "Don't." But it was already too late. "We didn't come for you," one of them said. "But we'll take you too if you make it easier." Alessia moved like lightning. Headbutt the man holding her twisted. Grabbed his wrist too slow. A shot rang out. And I screamed because Alessia went down. Not dead, not quiet, but bleeding. On one knee, still fighting. No. I ran toward her, but one of them grabbed me, pinning my arms. I bit down on his hand until I tasted blood and he screamed, letting go. The gun in his other hand dropped. I dove for it, grabbed it, turned another shot. This time from me, I hit one of them's shoulder. He dropped. Alessia, now on her feet again, tackled the last man to the ground. Her fists didn't stop. I'd never seen her like that. Not even in the war. Not even when the mansion burned. This was personal. This was fury. She knocked him unconscious. Then turned to me, her hand pressing to her bleeding side. Are you hit? I asked, trembling, breathless. I've had worse. Let me. I'm fine. You, Sophia, you just. Her voice cracked. She looked down at the gun in my shaking hands. You shot him. I did. You saved my life. I dropped the gun. It hit the ground with a dull thud. We just stared at each other. Blood, breath, sea wind, silence. Then I was running to her, arms around her waist, holding her up, holding her together. Don't you dare die on me, I whispered. I won't, she rasped. I never leave you. We burn the bodies. Not because we were afraid of the law, but because we didn't want to give them the dignity of a burial. The world had sent one last test, and we passed barely. Alessia sat on the porch later that night, shirt off, stitched and bruised, a blanket over her shoulders. I sat beside her, wrapping my arms around her like I could protect her from ghosts. We can't stay, she said. I know they'll keep coming. I know. She looked at me, eyes soft. You deserve more than this. I want this. I said you. Whatever form you come in, whatever world we have to build to make it work. I should have died today, but you didn't. Because of you. I reached into my pocket, pulled out something small. Silver. She froze. What is that? I didn't answer. I opened my hand. It was a ring. Simple, honest, real. Sophia, we've survived bullets, betrayal, fire, and fate, I said, my voice breaking. If we're going to keep running, I want to do it as your wife. Tears filled her eyes. She didn't cry often, but when she did, it was like the sky letting go. She took the ring from my hand, slipped it onto her finger. I've never been owned, she whispered. You're not. I've never belonged to anyone. You don't. But you can belong with someone. She kissed me. Not like a queen. Not like a killer. Like a woman saying yes. Like a woman surrendering to something bigger than fear. We didn't make plans. We packed bags, burned what remained, took the boat to the other side of the coast, and disappeared into the dusk. No names, no stories, just us. Sophia and Alessia. 2 women alive, in love, and finally free for now. We settled in a town with no name. A strip of pastel rooftops on a hillside, tucked above cliffs so high they seemed to hold the sky in their palms. No one asked where we came from. No one cared. Here we were, just 2 women renting a weathered house with chipped blue shutters and jasmine blooming wild over the windows. Alessia spent the first few days restless, pacing, listening for sounds that never came, every car that passed, every knock, every creak in the floorboards. I'd find her standing by the window in the middle of the night, eyes sharp, jaw clenched. I didn't speak. I didn't touch her unless she reached first. She wasn't afraid of dying. She never had been. She was afraid of me dying because of her. But each morning that came and went without danger loosened something in her. She cooked once, burned everything. She laughed when I teased her. A real laugh. She started writing in a leather notebook. She wouldn't let me read. She took walks without a gun. She danced barefoot in the kitchen to music from a tiny radio. Slowly, the woman who once ruled the underworld with blood and precision became someone who leaned her head on my shoulder at night just to feel the rhythm of my breathing. We had no plan, no timelines, no escape routes, and for the first time, she didn't need them. One morning, I woke to find her gone again. My chest tightened, but I didn't panic. Not this time. The sun was barely up, and the silence outside was warm. I followed the scent of salt and honey through the back door and found her sitting on the edge of the cliff, legs dangling over nothing, hair tangled by the wind. She didn't turn when I sat beside her. Just pass me a thermos of coffee. Do you think it'll last? She asked softly. The peace. Yes, even with the past chasing us like a shadow. Especially then, she stared ahead. Some nights I still dream of fire. I do too. I see her body on the floor. Blood everywhere. And I know it's my fault. I reached for her hand. She let me. You can stop blaming yourself for the life that came before me. I can't, because if I hadn't walked through that door, I never would have known you. Loved you. Fought beside you. Survived. She looked at me. Really looked. How can you still want me? Because when you strip away the power, the reputation, the rage, you're just a woman who's learning how to love for the first time, and I get to be the one she loves. That's too much faith for one person. Then hold it with both hands. She pulled me close, buried her face in my neck. I don't deserve you. You don't have to. Just stay. That night, we made love in the living room. Curtains open, candles flickering, no walls, no rolls, just mouths and skin and quiet sighs. She whispered my name like a promise she never wanted to break. And I held her like she was the last good thing the world would ever give me. After wrapped in blankets, her head resting on my stomach, she whispered, "Marry me." I blinked. What? I know you already asked. Yeah, but now I'm asking. I looked down at her. Are you serious? I've never been more. Then asked me properly. She sat up. Hair a mess. Eyes sleepy but sure. She took my hand, kissed my knuckles. Sophia Marquez, will you marry me? Yes, I whispered, heart pounding. 1,000 times yes, she grinned. Not the wicked, deadly smirk I used to fear, but something soft, bright, real. I want to do it soon, she said, before the world remembers our names again. Then we'll do it tomorrow. Tomorrow? Why not? She pulled me onto her lap, lips against mine. God, I love you. Then let's start our forever while we still have it. The next morning, we hiked to the top of the cliffs. Just us. No guests. No priest, just a pair of rings, a single vow, and the sound of the wind carrying our promises across the sea. I wore white, she wore black. We said nothing rehearsed. We just spoke from the gut, from the wounds, from the fire. I thought love would be my weakness, she said, voice shaking. But it made me stronger than I've ever been. I thought love was something that happened to other people, I whispered. But then you knocked on my door and changed everything forever. We kissed slow, deep, sacred. She pressed her forehead to mine. You're my home now, and you're mine. The wind held around us. The waves roared beneath, but we stood still, married, alive, unbreakable. That night, for the first time, Alessia slept soundly. No dreams, no waking up to check the locks. She held me close, our rings glinting in the moonlight. And I knew even if the world found us again, even if darkness came back to collect its debt, we'd face it together as wives, as fire and flame, as love and fury. And nothing, not even the past, could undo us now. We didn't hear the knock. Not at first. It was too soft, like hesitation, like regret. The sun had just risen, spilling gold across our kitchen table where Alessia sat with bare feet and sleepy eyes, tracing her wedding ring like it still didn't feel real on her finger. I was frying eggs, humming something low, happy, quiet, domestic. Then came the second knock, louder. Alessia froze. I turned off the stove. We looked at each other for one long second. Stay behind me, she whispered, already reaching for the knife tucked inside the drawer near the sink. A habit she never fully let go. But I didn't hide. I stood beside her like always. She opened the door slowly. It wasn't a soldier, not a gunman, not a ghost from the past. It was a girl, maybe 16. Thin, wild eyes, trembling hands. Are you Alessia de Rossi? She asked, voice hoarse. Alessia didn't speak. The girl swallowed hard. I'm sorry. I had nowhere else to go. They said you could help. She looked like someone who hadn't eaten in days. Clothes torn, lips split. I'm not that woman anymore. Alessia said, voice low. The girl nodded. I know, but you're the only one who ever scared them. Alessia stepped aside without another word. Let her in. We made her tea, bandaged her arm. She didn't say much else, just sat at our table like she didn't know if she was still allowed to be alive. When she finally slept, curled up on the couch, Alessia turned to me. She reminded me of me, she said. She reminded me of me, I whispered. She's running from something. Then maybe it's our turn to open the door. That was the beginning of it. One girl became 2, then 3, then 6. We didn't go looking for them. They just came. Whispers spread like smoke. The queen who vanished was still alive. And now she protected the broken instead of punishing the weak. Our house grew louder, fuller, warmer. Alessia never wore her old name again. But they still called her something. La Madonna di Ferro. La Madonna di Ferro. Not because of fear, but because nothing could break her anymore. Years passed. We built something. Not a kingdom, not an empire, a refuge. We bought land, taught them how to grow their own food, defend themselves, read, heal, dream. Sophia ran the kitchen. Alessia ran security. Together, we ran a place where no one knocked to collect a debt anymore, only to be saved. We never told them our full story, but they pieced it together. The scars on Alessia's ribs. The way she still scanned the horizon when the wind changed. The way she never let me out of her sight too long. And how every night, no matter what the day held, we ended it the same way. Alessia brushing the paint from my fingers. Me pressing a kiss to the ring on her finger. Alive in love. At peace. Sometimes, when the sun slips just right beneath the horizon, I remember the girl I was, alone on the couch, about to lose everything. I remember the knock at the door. The way she crossed the threshold with fire in her eyes and death on her breath. And how I never stood a chance, because love doesn't always arrive gently. Sometimes it kicks the door in. Sometimes it shows up dressed in black, demanding its due. Sometimes it saves you by burning everything down first. And sometimes it stays. She still calls me her wife. Still sleeps with her arm looped around my waist. Still kisses me like it's the first time, every time. And I still look at her like she's a miracle that bled into my life and never left. This is the ending, not with death, not with loss, but with a love that scorched the worst parts of us and still chose to remain. So if you're asking how the story ends, it doesn't. It just changes. Because the day she knocked on my door, I didn't just meet a mafia boss. I met the love of my life, and I'd open that door again every single time. If you enjoyed this content and want to support the channel in a special way, try clicking the thanks button below, the one with the heart and $ icon. With super thanks, you can make a direct contribution to the channel, and it helps me keep creating awesome videos for you.